Hello and welcome to the golf revolution. Wait, the basketball? No, the space crypto revolution. That's what we're doing today. There is no revolution in basketball or golf, Bryce. There is a revolution in AI. There's a coming revolution in space. And there is, other than Bitcoin, crypto sucks.
Yeah, totally.
Do you remember a year ago, you really went through the rabbit hole? Like you were like, Cody, we should question our premise on crypto.
Yes.
We should go do some work. You might be wrong, Cody, that everything but Bitcoin is fucked. Excuse my language. And then you went down the rabbit hole and it was like 4 hours, 2 hours, 2.5 hours later, you called me up and you're like, however bad you thought crypto was, Cody, it's worse. That was when the day you found pump.fun.
Right.
Do you know, is pump.fun still around? Are they still pumping meme
coins
out?
I looked at it the other day to see what was going on, and there's still people making tokens. It didn't look like the volume was there like it once was.
It's probably down 50 to 70% on its way down 90% on volume.
Yeah. And most of the coins weren't reaching their bonding curve, which is when you get 100,000 in market cap, you go to the next level of pumping on another exchange. And it didn't look like many coins had reached that. And at the peak, hundreds of coins a day were reaching their bonding curve. And, the grift, like, it was like, do you get to scale your grift or not? And then
right.
That's what bonding curve means.
Do you get to scale your grift as big as United Health? Wait, no, my bad. Bryce, is there a Bill Ackman meme coin? Is there an anti? I'm sure there's Kramer coins. I'm sure there's anti-Kramer coins.
If you can think of it,
is there a Ken Griffin, Citadel CEO, one of the largest hedge funds in the world? How about a Ray Dalio coin? There's got to be a Ray Dalio coin.
Griffin, yeah, there's dozens here. Ken Griffin.
If there's a Ken Griffin, Ray Dalio.
Let me show you this.
Yeah, share your screen. I would like to see. We can tell popularity of the name, familiarity of the name in the crypto world based on how many meme coins there are for each guy.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll tell you the number.
Oh, it would be.
There are a good number of Ken Griffin, and this is a different Ken Griffin, but he's still on here.
Hey, and there's even a Stewie. Is that a South Park Griffin? Didn't I see somewhere? No.
This looking thing?
Yeah, maybe not.
So who you're asking about, Ray Dalio?
How about a Ray Dalio coin?
Yeah, there's a Ray Dalio official meme.
Yeah, I somehow believe the $5,000 market cap of the official Ray Dalio meme coin indicates that is probably not an actual Ray Dalio official meme coin.
And you see, like, most of these are 5,000, which means they never really got any. I think like that's where you start.
How about the anti-Kramer?
Oh, that one. I bet there's one that's actually bonded out.
Yeah, I bet that's right.
Kramer.
Or inverse Kramer, I think, is what they go with.
Oh,
there's anti. Yeah. And none of them bonded out either. It sounds like they got out of jail. They got bonded out of jail.
Right.
How about a Cody Willard? Is there a Cody Willard coin? I hope there's not. Oh my gosh. We'll cease and desist these mothers if there is. Okay. Whew. I'm not that famous.
I don't see anything.
That's a relief. I was actually a little scared when I asked you to type that in. There would be. Is there a Bryce Smith? It's not the most popular name in the world, but it's more popular than Cody Willard. No.
I don't see anything. There's lots of vulgar and depraved shit on here, so I don't know how much we should search on this public YouTube.
Yeah, let's just stop. If you guys
it's a very bad website. There's a lot of horrible things that happen on pump.fun during the craziness. And
Well,
the reason,
there were Nazi coins. There
there's everything.
There was
Murder.
depraved coins, like I mean, gross stuff. Like,
Yeah.
and some guy was like willing to torture himself or something if his
Yeah,
coin
so
didn't get to it.
When it blew up, it was already blowing up, and then they decided that they would add live streaming as a function, so you could post your coin, create your coin, and then start a live stream, and people would do anything on their live stream to get people to buy the token. They said for every $1,000 in market cap, I will do whatever. And people were doing horrible things. They were like murdering pets and torturing themselves or locking themselves in cages and stuff. And like and so it went on for about a day and a half, and the outrage was so extreme, the pump fund people took it off.
We don't even know who the pump fund people are, right? I mean,
they're anonymous. I think it's based in England or the Netherlands or something. It's really, really weird.
Bryce, how different is what Trump did with his fraud? Well, I guess it's not fraud because he declares it's not an actual, it doesn't have any value, but his shitty meme coin. Now, how different is it like, hey, you get a free dinner if you buy a bunch of his worthless tokens, and if you buy a bunch of worthless Hex tokens, you got to live stream with Richard Hart at some point. And then
there are differences. At least it's not anonymous. So you do have the Trump guy making the Trump coin, and they're connected. So you can say that is.
Do we though? Like, it's not like Trump was like, "Hey boys, hey, we should make a crypto." No, like Donald Jr. and Eric probably went to Trump and they're like, "Hey, Dad, we got a grift. We can They were like, "Dad, we can make money with."
Right, I understand that's a grift, but I'm saying that's less of a grift than you purporting to make the official Ken Griffin coin, and Ken Griffin knowing nothing about it, not supporting it, not allowing you permission to use his likeness, right? Like it's a matter of degrees, but there is a degree of difference there in the grifting.
Anybody watching this, I'm sure knows I'm never voting for a Republican or a Democrat. The Republican Democrat regime is corrupt and evil, and I will not tell my grandchildren someday that I voted for that stuff. But that being said, golly, I wanted to like Trump this time. I wanted to not hate someone in the Republican Democrat regime. And if you do a meme coin, like, what are we doing? I don't know. I can't. It's endless. The Republican Democrat regime is an endless grift. All right, let's any other, I guess we should just mention, by the way, Bitcoin and cryptos have rallied. Things are on fire for the last week or so. Ethereum's up 30 or 40%. We bought puts. We actually outright shorted an Ethereum ETF yesterday. I've been in Bitcoin since 2013, and our hedge fund's been in Bitcoin since I launched it. And we're still long Bitcoin, but we are short Bitcoin miners ETF, the WGMI, and we shorted Ethereum yesterday and bought puts on it. I think, but clearly cryptos has bounced, at least with the markets and the risk on appetite coming back into the world.
Yeah. You want to explain why we think all the cryptos are screwed besides Bitcoin?
It's pretty
Ethereum and Solana. Like, Ethereum and Solana are not meme coins. They're like platforms.
They're the platforms upon which the worthless meme coins are built.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's just it. As we've been saying for the last year, really, Bryce, I think it's a phrase that I stole from you about 6 or 8 months ago, that crypto is constantly, all you ever read about is grifts and crime being, like frauds being done on crypto and Bitcoin. And then it's like what I'm trying to get to is, as you've been saying, it begs for relevance. Crypto in general begs for relevance. All non-Bitcoin crypto, all it does is beg for relevance. There's never been a single widely used application on blockchain other than storing value in Bitcoin. And everything else that has ever been done on crypto thus far has been silly, stupid, or fraudulent.
The I guess the one exception to that is the stable coins are now being used for payment facilitation. But who were we listening to this week that was talking about like that was the low hanging fruit, and that's all that blockchain is going to be used for? And they're talking about file compression back in the day.
You know, it was Martin Shkreli, of all people, the farmer bro.
Okay, yeah. So there is this use case for blockchain potentially to, allow you to move money around more quickly and, seamlessly than traditional payment networks, So, it's faster, it's more secure, it costs less, which is fantastic. But that's like about it.
So we have Bitcoin and stable coins, and everything else is worthless and silly.
Right. And so that means that, like, if you exclude the non-Bitcoin market cap, probably 90% of the non-Bitcoin market cap is, you would expect, going to zero or something. The non-Bitcoin, non-stablecoin market cap, 99%.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the stablecoin market cap in totality is probably a little more than 10% of the overall crypto market. So, but whatever that is, Bitcoin is half the crypto market, or probably a little more than that at this moment. And it's, it's going to go up and down, but I think long term it's going to be okay. And then stable coins, there's a place in the world, I guess, for them. And other than that, and by the way, if we should just explain, I'm sure most people watching this know what a stable coin is, but a stable coin is a coin that is supposed to sit around $1 at all times.
So just, I thought we'd show this for reference.
Yeah.
These are sorted by market cap. Bitcoin here at the top with 2
Scroll
trillion.
up to the top, it'll tell you what the total market cap is.
Oh, 3.34
trillion, of which Bitcoin is 2/3. Little less than 2/3.
And then like Tether, that's the largest stable coin. You can see it's $1.
Yeah, scroll down, there's another one right below it.
And then
USDC.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, here's Ethereum, which we're short, and Solana, which we would love to short if there was a.
There's still not a Solana ETF, by the way, Bryce. That they were going to try to get one through, and I would think with the Trump SEC giving a free pass to anything crypto related, that would probably have gone through by now.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen anything about it.
I haven't either, but I wouldn't be shocked if it exists now.
Here's a story from within the last 24 hours that the SEC is not ready to decide on the Grayscale Solana ETF.
I wish they would. So we
SEC delays Solana ETF.
At any rate, let's talk space. Space is so much more exciting than crypto. We did make a space debris cleaning cryptocurrency. Other than Bitcoin, it is the only token that was completely given away, had no founders tokens. But space is the point. Space debris is a problem. And I'm a big believer that the space revolution over the next 10, 15, 20 years is going to be one of the largest technological wealth creating revolutions that the planet has ever, that the universe, in this case, the solar system, has ever seen. Bryce, what's the big news on space? We got a Starship launch coming.
Yeah, that's the week. The news that I've been meaning to talk to you about, we haven't really hit on it, but there's like this rumor thing going around where the employees of Starbase are like disgruntled and demoralized for some reason.
It was some tweet. Some random dude tweeted to Elon that he was leaving because there's too much anti-Elon sentiment inside of SpaceX. It didn't even make any sense to me. Like, you're leaving an Elon company because people don't like Elon inside the company or something? I don't know, Bryce. I don't think
it didn't make sense to me either, and I didn't really go down the rabbit hole, but I thought you maybe did.
I did.
So that's why I wanted to ask about it.
Yeah,
I know. And then Elon said that he's going to live stream from the Starbase, like maybe this week, and he's going to go look at the Starship progress or something.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to get back down there and check in. And, look, I'm sure the morale is not as good right now as it was before Doge and Elon hate and Elon protests and firebombing SpaceX and Tesla, showrooms and everything else that mindless Republican Democrat regime believers have been doing with Elon. I'm sure Elon hates the mindless love and reverence he gets from Republicans now. Well, maybe not.
Yeah, he was in Saudi Arabia this week with talking about, things the Saudi government just approved, like Starlink for boat maritime and aviation users or something. And I told Cody he seemed like more happy than I'd seen him in a while. And he's probably like just glad to be out of the United States where everybody doesn't have like a viral, a visceral opinion of him or like this unreasonable love for him. He's just like, they appreciate what he does as a technologist and it stops there. He seemed better in that interview than I've seen him in a while.
I agree. Yeah. His energy was like even listening to the most recent Tesla earnings report, he was better than he had been 6 months ago. It's like 6 months ago, 3 quarters ago, he sounded depressed on one of those earnings report calls.
Yeah.
This one, he sounded better than that, but certainly not happy. And then yesterday, yeah, like that talk, the panel, I guess he was just one-on-one with the crown prince over there. Or not even in the crown.
It was just an interview, right?
It was a different prince of some sort, I think, that was interviewing him, but not MVP. What's the crown prince? What is it?
I think it's MBS.
MBS, that's it.
Mortgage-backed security.
Yeah, that's the joke.
But that's, I think Rocket Lab reported earnings last week, and I think those numbers were fine.
Lunar Intuitive Machines reported this week. The numbers were good. The problem with all of these things, though, is they're still like scaling up, and the gross margins at Rocket Lab are still like in the teens, and the gross margins at Lunar are in the teens, and Apple has, just to give some context, 40% gross margins. Google 75% gross margins. And Bryce, what's the large, like when I was your age, Microsoft had 98% gross margins because all they did, their only costs were printing a CD that had Windows on it and mailing it out. And that was about it. And so the gross margins were 98, 99%. What's the highest gross margin business you know of today?
ARM or GitLab or Autodesk, they're all north of 90%, 90, 92%. I don't know of any like 98, 99% businesses. ARM, you would think would be. It's purely, they sell intellectual property. They don't even have to print the freaking CD-ROM. They just sign a contract that says, yes, you can use ARM's IP to build your semiconductors, and they don't even have a 99% gross margin.
Well, I suppose they have to pay cloud services to host the platform that is being licensed.
I guess, yeah. I guess they do have some cloud storage costs, and they're not doing a lot of computing,
No, but well, they are. But you don't measure the compute, like the R&D that ARM does and pays billions of dollars to do every year does not come out of the gross margin is the problem. The cost of goods sold.
Yeah, no, they have a ton of OpEx because the R&D is so high.
Right.
But yeah, I'm just gonna double check myself on the gross margin. It is high. Let's see.
Yeah, the other thing, which you just while we're on, we'll move on from this.
Okay, it's 96%, so it was better than I thought. So that's probably the highest gross margin business I'm aware of.
That was a good answer. It was a good answer off the top of your head. Space, the Chinese are actively trying to get moon-related launch things going, and clearly the Chinese need to compete. I don't know. They feel like they need to compete, and they certainly want to compete against us in the space revolution. It is so weird that the guy who runs the Optimus robot company that we invest in, also has by far, he has like 80% of all satellites are now Starlink satellites on in outer space.
Yeah.
And the Chinese at some point are probably going to want to have their own low Earth orbit communications platform.
I would think so. I mean, except that nobody's going to use it outside of China. But I guess.
Well, that's true, right? I mean, it's not like you would trust that you could have a private, secure communication systems on a Chinese satellite system.
Yeah, I mean, most Chinese technology doesn't make it a long ways outside of China. That's just kind of what's been happening the last 20 years, right? Like we were looking at Chinese stocks this week, and Tencent is like one of the best performing ones, but they have real video games and things that Americans play and people all around the world play. They own part of Epic Games. Like they have a business that's pretty substantial outside of China. And Alibaba does too, I guess, but
obviously you could also say TikTok, but TikTok was actually an American company, and it was bought by a Chinese firm. It used to be called Musical.ly, or so. Is that what it's called?
I don't know. I didn't know that. I didn't know.
Yeah, my little niece, who's now 16, she was like 8 years old and using Musical.ly app, and it was cute. It was the same. It was TikTok, and then ByteDance bought it and changed the name to TikTok.
I did not know that story.
Yeah, Bryce, you ought to go down the rabbit hole. Actually, we're headed to Hong Kong and Taiwan this week. Be next door to China, and I guess technically in China while we're in Hong Kong. And people will ask us about TikTok and the TikTok ban. You ought to go down the rabbit hole. We'll take you 30 minutes, and you're going to be like, "What? Another American company?"
Yeah. What do you have a view on what's going to be the end result of the TikTok ban?
Oh, I mean, it sort of seems to me that the Republican Democrat regime always sells out to lobbying, and the lobbying power of TikTok sure has moved the needle. So I'm pretty sure that Biden, Trump, or whoever the president is right now is going to be like, "Yeah, it's fine. You guys can spy on all the kids. The Chinese can just spy on the kids. Not a problem." As you know, Bryce, my house is TikTok and Temu free.
Right.
Is your house TikTok free or just Temu free?
Both. I don't use either.
Yeah.
And I don't know that anybody might. No, I think my sister might.
Your grandmother does.
Yes, I know.
My mother-in-law loves her some TikTok and Temu, both. Yeah. All right. Bryce, pull up space.com real quick and see if there's other news we should talk about on space, and then let's wrap this up and go see what CoreWeave's earnings look like. Must not be bad. The stock's 71 as we speak.
Yeah. CoreWeave is an AI company, but they will have data centers in space maybe someday.
That is a hell of an ad for Adobe on space.com.
Yeah.
My gosh.
They have sold some pixels here.
Gee, money. I hope Adobe's paying for that.
Space News is Space News?
Yeah, spacenews.com. But actually, I know the guy who founded space.com. That's why.
Okay. I was like, that seems like a kind of a cheesy website.
Space News looks a little better, doesn't it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, we should also, Kepler Communications and Amazon's Kuiper Communications, they're all also trying to get in this low Earth orbit data, internet offering communications business. It was interesting that space.com over there had the same thing I was talking about with China moon aspirations, and over here it is not.
Yeah, it doesn't show the China thing.
Yeah, there's some China.
Something about Rocket Lab.
Oh yeah, they got tapped by the Air Force Research Laboratory to do, what is it? Point to point is what they call it.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that. I think I sent that.
Yeah, you sent me that headline the other day.
Yeah. And I thought it's kind of cool. Like for the military, like you can go drop off cargo anywhere in the world within a few, less than an hour or something. You could have cargo where you need it.
The problem with that, I mean, and it might work better for point to point travel than for orbital launch, but SpaceX Starship has been for 5 years been talking about point to point transportation and being able to travel from Shanghai to New York in 45 minutes on a Starship.
I mean, obviously, I guess the key is having re-entry and reusability capabilities, which Rocket Lab hasn't really demonstrated yet, right? Like that's
they're still trying. They've been trying to capture their booster with a helicopter and it didn't work. So then they've been trying to land it in the ocean, and that has worked. They've been able to recover it out of the ocean, but that's obviously not nearly as efficient as actually landing it on chopsticks like Starship is.
Yeah. Or, the Falcon lands on the drone ships, right? So
yeah. And it lands upright and could, within a day be turned around and sent up again, or maybe a couple, 3 days.
You could imagine how long it would take to refurbish an airplane if the 737 landed in the ocean every time. You had to go, clean it up and get it ready to go again. That's not very efficient.
Yeah, no, I'm a little uncomfortable in the wet seat.
So yeah, they got to figure out how to land it on a hard surface and not tip over.
All right. I think we'll call this a monthly SKTLs call. SKTLs is the symbol, I guess. Do we call them crypto symbols, or is it just the name? Just a name.
Yeah,
I don't know either. At any rate, that's a space crypto call. We'll check that box here. Bryce and I are headed to Hong Kong and Taiwan next week. If any of you guys watching are there and want to get together, I'd love to meet up. We will see you. We're doing these space crypto calls, the SKTLs call every the second Wednesday of every month, which is why we did it today. So we will see you 29 or 30. How many? January, February, March, April, May. So there's 31 days in May. So we will see you 24. Bryce, do the math for me. I guess 30 days would be.
I mean, if you want to do it in the second week of May.
Yeah, what's the
28 days from now?
28 days from now. 4 weeks on the nose. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you there.
All right, bye.
Bye, Bryce.